Hello everyone, this is your host Akshay and welcome to the second season of Medically Speaking. I bet you didn't know that we had seasons. Neither did I, but here we are. Let me just tell you, we have some interesting topics to be spoken in the coming weeks and I hope you're excited as I am. And now, let me introduce you to our first speaker of the season, Dr. Sunil.
Hi, my name is Sunil. I'm a pathologist by training and essentially working in IMU University for the last 13 years.
Oh wow, that's quite a long time, Doctor. And thank you for teaching us, and I myself have been your student as well. Tell us a little bit of your medical journey.
Right, so I started off my MBBS in the year 1995 and I finished my internship in 2001. Following that, I worked as a junior resident for about a year before I decided to actually start preparing for the PLAB, since I had quite a lot of friends who were planning to embark on pursuing their career in the United Kingdom. So there I was preparing for PLAB. This was sometime between 2001 to 2003. And then I passed my PLAB 1, went off to the UK to give my PLAB 2.
Okay.
And passed my PLAB 2 as well. And then
that's wonderful.
Did quite a few number of attachments in various hospitals in the United Kingdom before working as a senior house officer in trauma orthopedics.
Oh wow, okay. So Doctor, since you did your house surgeon in India itself, so when you went to the UK after doing PLAB, did you have to do that again? Your F1 and F2?
No, we didn't. We didn't have to do the foundation year 1. Essentially, the current foundation year 2 is equivalent to the senior house officer training. So that's like something similar to working as a medical officer in Malaysia.
Okay, all right. So after that, after your UK, may I know what brought you here to Malaysia, essentially?
Right. Okay. So I was there in UK for a couple of years.
Okay.
And those were the days when you had a lot of foreign doctors traveling to the United Kingdom to look for a bright prospect in the medical field. So there I was, especially trying to get myself into a specialty where not many foreign doctors, especially from Asia, managed to succeed.
Okay.
Right, so I have had my ups and downs, essentially in terms of struggles in getting jobs over a continuous period of time, and there was even difficulties in getting training jobs. So I worked in 2 different NHS trusts as a senior house officer. Both of them were non-training posts, which really was not very satisfying to me, because I was looking forward to getting a training post so that I could end up progressing in terms of becoming a registrar and then eventually a consultant.
Yeah.
So things didn't fall in place in terms of getting a training post. And then in 2004, I got a very shocking news that my mom passed away suddenly.
Very sorry.
Yeah, so that sort of made me down. I was almost in depression. And I couldn't fathom that my mom wasn't there with me. So that was a setback. Secondly, I wrote the MRCS exams 2 times and narrowly missed passing at both attempts by a few marks. And then towards 2005, when I'd done 2 posts as senior house officer, I didn't get another job, which meant that I was trying to look for part-time locum posts.
In the UK?
Yeah, okay. which weren't so easy to come by, and which didn't really make me happy because I was doing something all way along. So I sort of stopped and then reflected to think what has happened all along over the last 2 years, and realized that I haven't done my post-graduation.
Okay.
And I'm not doing well in terms of progressing in the United Kingdom towards my surgical career. So I decided, I think it's time to bid goodbye to the UK and then get back to start preparing to get into a post-graduation course, which meant that I would have to spend at least a year or more to prepare for entrance exams, which was the only way to get a postgraduate seat in a medical college in India.
Okay. So did you?
I did, yes. In fact, I got an offer in another place in the state where I come from. I'm from a place called Karnataka.
Okay.
India.
Wow. Okay. That's a very nice state. I've been there before.
Yeah. So I went to this place and met a few postgraduates there, and they weren't very encouraging of the place itself and said that, why are you going to waste 2 years of your life here? And do you really want to be in this place? There's nothing much. Perhaps you should look at, seeing if you can get a seat somewhere else. So at the same time, I had written my entrance test at Kasturba Medical College, Manipal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was notified that I was called for the counselling there.
Okay.
So I decided to attend the counselling.
Okay.
I had a few choices of getting into microbiology, forensic medicine, and pathology. Mm-hmm. The one in pathology was a diploma, not a MD seat that I was offered. But I thought, pathology was something that was more passionate than microbiology or forensic medicine. So I decided that I will give away the seat that I got at the other college and enroll into KMC Manipal. So that's how I finished my diploma in clinical pathology. This was in 2006, a year after I came back from
the UK.
And after I finished my diploma, I decided that I need to go ahead and do either my MD, or we have a parallel kind of a postgraduate pathway called as DNB, or Diplomate in National Board.
Okay.
So I applied in quite a number of institutions.
In India itself?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was shortlisted at one institute in Kerala.
Okay.
In a city called Cochin.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I did my DMB in pathology, and I managed to finish my DMB in 2011.
Okay. Wow. Congrats, Doctor. It's quite a long journey that you've had. And Doctor, did you, I hope you don't mind me asking, after your whole coming back to India and everything, did you ever try to go back to the UK? Or did you end up hating it once everything that was there was not so, favorable at the time?
I had never thought of going to the UK until I wrote my Royal College exams for pathology, which unfortunately I didn't clear.
Okay.
And I took a single attempt.
Okay.
So I haven't had a thought since then to try again to go.
May I ask, would you try now?
Maybe not.
Okay.
Because I've heard not so good stories from my colleagues and friends who are there in the UK.
Okay.
I hear that things aren't as it was before in terms of job satisfaction or the pay that may be. So I'm like a bit skeptical as to whether I really need to embark on that journey again.
Okay.
Considering the fact that I've been in IMU for the last 13 years, I'm happy here.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I don't really see a reason that I need to try to go to the UK at the moment, at least. So that's not in the pipeline.
Okay. So then, Doctor, so after your time in India, after you finished all your upper education and stuff like that, what made you come to Malaysia?
Right. Okay. So interesting story actually. I had finished my postgraduate training 6 months before my actual exams, so I had some time. And then I had a couple of friends who were in the neighboring city, and they were planning to leave the job and actually move on to Africa. They were planning to move on to Botswana. So that lab wanted a pathologist, and then they said since I'm not doing anything, I would maybe consider working in a lab.
Okay.
Gain some experience before I give my exams. And so I joined this lab as a consultant pathologist, and then worked there for almost 11 months. In that time, I actually ended up getting engaged.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And got married as well. So my spouse was actually working in another city in the neighboring state, that's Tamil Nadu before. So we decided to...
I am from Tamil Nadu, Doctor.
Wow, okay, that's nice. So we decided to move back to where I was working, and so I came back, and then my wife got a job in the same institute that I did my post graduation.
Okay.
Right, and then since she had to travel daily, and I felt that was a bit uncomfortable, so I decided to relocate back to Cochin. So the arrangement was that I would travel on a daily basis.
So do you end up picking up Malayalam?
Yes, in fact, yeah. I mean, my native is actually Kerala.
So you speak Malayalam quite well.
I do, yeah.
I see.
And the Tamil we speak has got a lot of
similar
tinge of accent of Malayalam as well. So I decided, because I was having to travel around a lot, I decided to move back to Cochin and look for a job there.
Okay.
So I was working in another private lab. I was there for almost 6 months, and during this time, me and my wife used to often discuss to look for opportunities outside, especially countries like Singapore, Australia, New Zealand. And one day, she got information that someone she knew in the college where she was working had actually submitted a CV to one of the universities in Malaysia. Right? And the professor there actually didn't, since there were no vacancies in that institution, actually gave her CV to IMU.
Okay.
And then she was called for an interview here.
Okay.
Right? So during her interview, the dean asked, "What's your husband?"
Okay.
And she said he's a pathologist working in a private laboratory. And then he said, "Do you know that we are also looking for a pathologist?" And then they seemed to be more interested in me rather than actually interviewing my wife. So I got a informal call from one of the faculty in the pathology department asking whether I'm interested. And I said, yeah, I mean, it's something that I've never considered to come into
education.
Academia.
Okay.
Because I've been in diagnostic pathology all this while. And then I said, if I get interviewed and I get shortlisted, I would join only if my wife was also offered a position.
Okay.
And then it turned out that both of us were offered, so we decided to relocate back to Malaysia.
Okay. All right, doctor. So, doctor, I want to ask you, since it seems that you were so adamant to, stay in the clinical side and then, go elsewhere and like stuff like that. So now that you are in academia, and it's been 13 years, and I feel like you've had both years equally, like both about the same amount of time as being in the clinical side as well, and in the lab and everything. So can I ask that, like, compared to there and here in academia, which one do you prefer more if you could run back in time?
If given a chance, I would run back to do diagnostic pathology, definitely.
Okay.
But I'm at a time where I spent 13 years in academia, literally put both my feet in now. And then for me to go back to doing diagnostic pathology, which I haven't been doing for the last 13 years, would mean sort of reskilling myself, which I know isn't going to be easy, and it may not be so smooth if I did eventually go back into the diagnostic field. So though I feel I want to go back into diagnostics, but I know that there are going to be a lot of challenges and it may not be easy. So at the moment, I'm still considering to be in academia. I think that's what I'm meant to be for. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, doctor, I want to ask regarding your foreign travels as a doctor. Do you regret the UK? Because I myself would like to write the PLAB or AMC or even the USMLE once I graduate, and then given now there's a lot of changes in the whole world, including politics, including just the general atmosphere working. It wasn't like before during my parents' time and even your time, a lot of people were moving around. A lot of people were going to different places just after they graduate. But nowadays, it's not so much that people who moved elsewhere are trying to come back and stuff like that. So given that, I would like to ask that so you bumped into many countries. I mean, the UK, India, and as well as here. And I'm sure that you bumped into quite a different setbacks, difficulties, and stuff like that. And may I know, how did you feel about the freedom that you might have had in India compared to the other two countries? And do you regret going to foreign countries, or would you like to go back? And how did you deal with them when you were in foreign countries?
Okay, talking about regretting something, I'm not a person who regrets anything.
Fantastic, Doctor.
That I decide or anything that happens in my life.
Fair enough.
Because I think if something happens, it's for a good reason. Now why I'm saying that is that I don't regret coming back from the UK is because I realized that I'm not meant to be a trauma and orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
Right? So there was something else that was waiting for me, and that's the reason why I came back to India.
Okay.
I don't regret not being in India because I think it wouldn't have been very easy in terms of at least my financial status had I stayed back in India.
Okay.
Because I think again of the pay packet, the various other things in India, the challenges. I mean, in terms of the number of people, the traffic there. I don't think I would have really felt very happy. It probably would have been more stressful than where I am now. So technically, I don't have any regrets. I'm happy that I could travel to the UK. That was a different learning experience. And my time in Malaysia has also taught me a lot of new things. It's helped me to progress in my career.
Okay.
And I'm happy, so I don't have any regrets really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about facing the difficulties at the times that you were, throughout your life, Doctor? Any advice for us?
Well, I think no one's life is ever smooth.
Yeah, fair enough.
The grass may look green on the other side, but it's when you go to the other side, you realize that the grass is not green.
Fair enough.
Right? So you do have your fair share of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
There may be times in life that you may feel really down, wanting to give up. But I think if you do give up, and I think that's like being a coward. That really isn't going to solve anything.
Fair
right?
enough.
I mean, as a student, you will suffer burnout, stress. Well, I think these are all part and parcel of being a student in any program. I mean, the MBBS program is just one of the more difficult ones. But be it any program, you will have your share of stress. You may feel burnt out, but I think the whole thing is not to give up and continue to push harder.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you will get there. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, just like a little bit of a sidetrack. Before you got engaged and married and all, you were in India, and before that you were in the UK. How was like your support? Friends? Did you have siblings? Did you find someone there? Did you date anyone there? Anything?
Frankly, I am a very shy guy from my school days.
I see.
So I didn't have any girlfriends.
Okay.
I never dated anyone.
Okay.
Not that I didn't like someone, but it was more of, I would say, one-sided kind of love.
I see, Doctor.
It was me liking the other person.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So I never had a chance to express my love to the other person. So.
Okay. Do you regret that, Doctor? Knowing that you don't regret things, but do you? Little bit?
No. There was one day that I thought I am regretting that decision, but then I decided. Then I thought, yeah, well, that isn't made out for me.
Okay.
So yeah. So I don't regret. Okay. Yeah.
What about like friendship and all, Doctor? Do you have siblings, by the way?
Yes, I have an elder brother and a younger sister.
Okay. Are you all close?
Well, to be very honest, not at the moment.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
But I have a lot of friends.
Okay.
Who are still close to me. Many of them from my MBBS days. So I still meet them.
Okay.
So when I go back to UK, I do have friends from my
college days.
From my MBBS days that I actually managed to meet up. I do have a lot of friends in IMU. So yeah. So friends have been something that have been there always with me.
That's good.
So I've never felt lonely or stuff like that.
Okay, that's good. Friends are very important, and I've realized that in my life as well. And so, Doctor, now that you are, looking back, can I ask you that? Well, you've already partly answered this, but a lot of students now, including myself, we're all trying to go elsewhere, trying to, find new things, new life, and stuff like that. So, as a foreigner in a foreign country, compared to then and now, is it getting more difficult for someone to progress in their career? As like, for example, let's say like, so I'm passionate about surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So once I do my housemanship or house surgeon or whatever the term is at the time, or a foundation or whatever it is it difficult to go from there upwards as a foreigner in any country?
Definitely, it would be difficult for any foreigner to get, especially into the medical fraternity of that country. But that doesn't, or rather, that shouldn't stop you from giving a try. I do know a lot of students, my mentees, who have actually been successful. Right? So one of them studied in the US and then went on to get a job in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not going to be easy, but if you are passionate about pursuing something elsewhere, I think compared to the past and now, I mean, people are more better informed. We have information from so many other sources.
Okay.
Unlike our days, where a lot of the information was from, your friends or word of mouth, someone you heard from.
Okay.
Right. I think in this age and era, people are very well informed. They know, they have an idea of how life would be. What are the opportunities like, right? So I think it makes it much more easier, though it may not be easy, but that shouldn't really stop someone from actually giving a try. So if you want to try it for the US and give your US MLE, or if you want to try the AMC to go to Australia, or if you want to take the UK MLA to go and work in the UK, I think you should try. There should be nothing to stop you. So as long as you made up your mind as to what you want to do, and you've done your bit of research, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop you. But let me tell you, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Things have got tougher, right? A lot more stringent these days.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that effort that we should put from our side, that shouldn't stop.
Okay. Yeah. So you also know that thank you for that, doctor. And you also know that like our school, IMU here, works at a twinning program basis. So we have the PMS, not only for medicine, but we also have for dental or every other course that we have as well. So I wanted to ask that for a student who goes through these twinning programs compared to someone who graduates here, like going to Seremban and then to do the exam, is there a huge difference?
Oh, definitely a greater advantage of actually getting in through the partner medical school, because you then become a graduate of that
place.
Yeah. So essentially, you're on par with all those who graduate locally.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes it easier for you to get into the system rather than someone who's done their training elsewhere before they want to embark on taking up the exams. Not that students who have finished the program within the UK or think will be exempt from taking the UK MLA, for example, as it's now an exam that everyone has to take, right?
Yeah.
But I think they would be better prepared.
Okay.
Since they're already much more familiar with the system, rather than someone who's trying to come newly into the system, who's still learning how the system works, how the people speak, what are the local guidelines in terms of clinical practice. So that may be a challenge for someone to pick up rather than actually the core knowledge which everyone would be quite familiar with.
Okay.
So in that way, if someone were to go through the local program, they would have an added advantage.
Okay. All right. So fair enough. That makes complete sense, because you are there and you finish off there. On top of that, if you were to go through this in our shoes, and you were to go through local, would you encourage them to go there again? Go knowing your experience and how you've been and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean,
I know that you've mentioned that it's not impossible, but it is going to be very difficult and stuff like that. But what I'm essentially asking is that, would you rather someone who graduates here to finish off further qualification here and then going, or try for upper qualification there itself, like for example, like apply for masters or specialty in the university there, and then going to work? Or how would you go if you were to create a blueprint for a student who's probably clueless at the moment, who wants to go to local or even PMS? What would you tell them?
Right. I mean, I don't see any harm in actually giving a try once you've finished your medical training year.
Okay.
You're perhaps finished your housemanship and then considering whether to continue working as a medical officer, you could try preparing to go there, and then perhaps give your fellowship exams or membership exams as you're working. So that will give you a better chance to get into the system there, rather than actually doing your post-graduation here and then thinking of writing the membership exams. I think that would have meant that you spent a much longer time here.
Okay. Then
before you move on. So I think if you want to do it when you're
still early.
Yeah, when you're still early on in your clinical career, rather than you having done invested so much of your time.
Yeah.
To even finish your post-graduation before you try to move on.
Okay.
But not that there aren't people who have done their post-graduation and then come to the UK or Australia. But then, like I said, you're spending that extra more time. I have a friend, the one I said who went to Botswana.
Yeah.
So he eventually moved on to the UK, finished his fellowship there, and now has even finished his USMLE and is doing his residency. Which means that even though he's a trained pathologist, because of all his training, he still needs to do his residency is equivalent to doing your
housemanship, essentially.
It's equivalent to doing a post-graduation in pathology. So it's like actually having to go through the thing again.
Yeah, it's essentially doing fellowship here.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's almost in his late 40s, which means that he spent so much of his time, and he's still having to redo everything just to get back into the system. So if you look at it that way, you would rather invest your time wisely and get into the system early, rather than having gone through everything and then try to move on. Which is why I've never thought of
going back
to the UK or the US, because I feel it requires a much longer investment of not only money but time as well. In order for me to settle down.
Alright, Doctor. Thank you so much for telling us a little bit about your life and education and how it's been, and also giving us quite an amount of advice for a clueless student who might not essentially know what to do after they finish their MBBS. On a lighter note, I would like to ask you a few other things, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, Doctor, so you've been at the one time of your life, you've been a bachelor in a different country and things like that. So how did you cope with the food, and how was it when you came here? Or did you adjust well? Things like, tell us about your other life than medicine.
Okay, right. The first time that I was really away from home, having to fend for myself was the first time in the UK, and I had zero clue of how to even keep a cup of rice.
Oh really? Oh my God! Okay.
So it was me having to learn the skill. Luckily, I had friends who had some idea, so gradually picked up my cooking skills.
Okay.
In terms of food, there were challenges, especially me who was not used to having a traditional continental breakfast of maybe toast and baked beans.
Okay.
So there were this initial few days when I was feeling really nauseous when I saw the baked beans and the toast on my plate. I was like, how could I,
okay. Some idli sambar would have been nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that was difficult, but I think as time got by, I got used to it. In fact, I'm a vegetarian by birth.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
But staying there in the UK, getting vegetarian food, especially within the hospital, is a big challenge.
Yeah.
And then me having to do on calls, working late nights, meant that I had to eat whatever I get in the hospital, which meant that I would have to eat non-veg, no other go.
So you ended up liking non-veg?
Yeah. So not used to it, but let me tell you, being in Malaysia, I think, is like being in a more sophisticated India.
Oh really? Okay.
Yes, because I think you get everything here in Malaysia, especially in KL and Selangor.
Mm-hmm.
So I've really never felt so much away from home. You have people, you have the similar culture. You have friends who speak the same language. There are a lot of religious places, temples especially, that you can go to.
Yeah.
A lot of Indian restaurants, you get the same stuff that you get
Yeah.
here. Yeah, so I mean, being in Malaysia, I've never felt that
Really, Doctor? I find that hard to believe. So if you could tell me one dish that you said, no matter how the people anywhere make it, it's not the same as home. Is there a dish like that?
Yeah, the one thing that is not here, it's there, but I wouldn't say the same quality as what we get.
Okay.
Is these chaat items, so things like
like
pani
puri.
pani puri.
Okay.
I've had a lot of places. There are some restaurants which do make it, but again, that the taste what we get back at home isn't the same here.
So, what is your favorite chaat item, Doc?
Pani puri.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Me too. I love pani puri and bel puri.
Yes, and in India they serve it in a very different way. So you get a like a small bowl that's made of leaves.
Yeah.
And then there's this man dipping the puri
into
a mud pot, which has this liquid that has many spices and water in it, and then you continue to go and eat. So that one I haven't seen here.
Yeah. I don't think, neither have I actually. I have really not seen that here either. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Doctor. I also know that you're an avid cricket fan.
Yes, I in fact used to be very crazy about cricket.
Okay.
But then there came a time probably when the IPL started that I felt that cricket is being sort of sold.
Okay.
And then I started losing interest in following cricket. Not that I don't follow, I do follow especially India over the various websites.
Mm-hmm.
But then I do follow major tournaments where and when possible.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do play cricket. So
yes.
Yeah, so I used to play cricket during my MBBS days.
Okay.
And then here as well, because we had a lot bigger expatriate population in IMU. And then there were a lot of staff who used to play cricket, so we used to have cricket tournaments as well, especially since Chair Fair is coming up next week. So we had a cricket tournament for Chair Fair.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful.
So those were the days, but then now we don't have as many expatriate faculty around, so not many who are playing cricket. But a lot of students who are playing cricket.
Yeah. I myself.
Yeah, so that's where we decided to actually have a student club.
Okay.
And then we started the IMU Cricket Club, for which I'm the club advisor. So I think I'm trying to contribute back to the game.
That's good. That's good. Cricket is a very fun game to play.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, Doctor. Thank you so much for coming to this episode and for blessing us with as the first speaker for our episode for this particular season. And is there anything else that you would like to leave us with before we end our little episode here?
I'd like to say thank you to Akshay for inviting me and having me here, and sort of having this chat, which I think was good to share. What I would like to say is don't give up on your dreams. Don't stop chasing them. I'd like to end with a very simple quote.
Okay,
that impossible is nothing.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. And with that, your host Akshay is signing off as well. Thank you so much and see you soon.